Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Adam Trigger and Dave Koken of WagerTalk.com. We're headed to the SEC, where the Kentucky Wildcats head down to Oxford to play Ole Miss. This line has been interesting, bopping around from 6.5 to 7 on the WagerTalk odds screen for the last 2 days. Total 55.5 is now down to 54. If you guys watch Bet on It, you know where I'm looking here. But Dave, I do have my concerns. Every time this seems to hit 6.5, it keeps going back to 7, 7 being a massive key number in college football.
Yeah, there's a couple of sharp groups that are on the Ole Miss side in this game. So every time it gets back to 6, and they hit it early because I think the circa opening line in the game was 4. So it got better early, and they're playing the numbers game. I don't like the game at all, to be honest with you, and I don't care what the groups are doing. That doesn't impact me one way or the other. I think Kentucky defensively has the stuff to contain an Ole Miss offense that I'm still not sold on. I think the quarterback's getting better, but he's not there yet. The Ole Miss defense looks really good. Very athletic, very quick, and I think they can make Kentucky somewhat one-dimensional here. So this is a game I'm not going to get involved in, particularly because I'm not a totals player. I'm not real good at totals. But that said, I think this game's got a good chance to be an under. I think the two defenses are the two best units on the field in this game. So I will look for Ole Miss and Kentucky to stay under, and I'll let the sharp or square outfits do whatever they want as far as the side's concerned.
Adam, we know Ole Miss can run the ball, and I was first looking at this game, I thought maybe that was going to be a concern for me here, but as Dave mentioned, this Wildcats defense is pretty stout. They've only allowed 3 rushing touchdowns all season, so I do agree with Dave. This is an under-type game for me as well, which has me liking the Kentucky Wildcats side, especially with Chris Rodriguez back in the mix for running back.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know groups played Ole Miss, and they played it up to 6.5, which maybe put me off earlier in the week. I don't know if I'll get to the window with this, but right now, I mean, the way I handicap the game, I certainly lean toward Kentucky. As you mentioned, Kel, Rodriguez is back. I think Will Levis has been the better quarterback. Jackson Dart's been kind of erratic for Ole Miss. Doesn't have a super high completion percentage. And what I keep coming back to in this game is Ole Miss has played no one. Their schedule is the 4 teams that they have played really are all pretty bad teams. And so now this is a pretty big step up in class for them. And then, of course, Rodriguez brings back close to 1,400 yards of rushing for last season. He went wild on Ole Miss a couple of years ago. I think it may be 2 years ago, had a huge game against them. So I think when you take all that into consideration and the fact that it profiles as an under and both defenses are pretty good and it could be a defensive battle, I think I feel more comfortable taking the 7. So the way I lean here would be Kentucky plus 7. And I'm also in agreement with Dave. I think it makes a lot of sense that we might see a lot of runs, and it might be a defensive type game. So maybe a lean toward the under as well.
I'll take a 17-14 Kentucky final here without any complaints. Speaking of complaints, I got none about Dave Koken's 5% winner. Western Kentucky last week. Thank you, Dave, for sharing that one with me. He is now at 87.5% in 2022 in 5% plays. And he also has an NHL 5% points prop up now at WagerTalk.com. So thank you to Dave for that 5% winner. Keep on rocking on.